A call from Telstra and Optus to put the shutdown of the 3G network on hold for 2 months. Across that time, the telcos will be completing a safety awareness campaign so customers who are currently still on 3G will know what action they need to take. A new date has been penciled in for that switch off, and that is October 28, with the plan to have you and me on devices of 4G or 5G networks. One person who's been very vocal about this 3G shutdown is Senator Malcolm Roberts. I asked him if the 2-month extension is long enough.
It's not even close. In Europe, France has delayed the shutdown till 2028. Britain has delayed the shutdown of 2G and 3G until late this decade, and they found serious issues when they tried to shut down 3G, and they are keeping it open. My motion for an inquiry into 3G shutdown was very revealing, Susan. Brought out a lot of really nasty stuff.
What are your main concerns?
Well, there's still around 1 million devices to be impacted. That's based on the inquiry. So we're not ready to shut down 3G. And when I'm talking about devices, I'm not just talking about productivity devices. I'm talking about life-saving devices that are going to be affected. Almost 1 million of them. Farm equipment, Royal Flying Doctor medicine fridges, pacemakers, health alarms, health alerts, fire alarms, elevators. This will gut the regional areas, and the telcos, Telstra and Optus, won't guarantee the same coverage as with 3G.
We've spoken about this a whole lot on our program recently, about the wide impacts of this. And for a lot of communities, it's the only connection that they have to the outside world and to call emergency services. People are telling me it's really scary that this is in the future for them.
That's right. Australians must be guaranteed they will not lose coverage of devices and make sure the devices work. And 4G phones must be able to call 000. The 4G phone network was built in part on the 3G network. So when the 3G goes, some of the 4G services will go as well. And I've got to commend James Parker, who's a Queenslander, proud Queenslander. He made a submission to the inquiry. It was stunning. And then he was a witness in the Cooma inquiry down in New South Wales. He was stunning again, just nailed it. And it really got entrenched that James's comments are very, very strong. We've got to have a serious look at this situation. The Minister and the Department have not been giving good oversight. They're still discovering things like elevators. You cannot make calls from elevators. They only discovered that a month or so ago. I mean, there's a complete lack of oversight, and they've given the telcos an extension of 2 months. This is ridiculous.
So if the power were in your hands, how long would that 3G network remain running?
Well, I'd make a very simple condition. I'd make a threshold of service criteria that must be met before they can shut down 3G. Then it's up to the telcos. Providing basic services, emergency access calls, devices, work, then when those thresholds are met, then they can change. And that's why France has said it'll not be until 2028. They've extended it, 4 years? Britain extended it until late this decade. So it's up to the telcos to provide the service. And the reason the telcos are doing this is because they're trying to make high short-term profits. We've got Telstra, a massive company, making billions of dollars in profit, and we've got Optus, which is owned by the Singaporeans. And also the handset manufacturers are in this together, because, as I said, the key issue that James Parker exposed is a complete lack of compatibility and standardisation across the networks. That's the core problem, and we're not even addressing that through the minister's actions.
Hearing from Senator Malcolm Roberts, we're talking about 3G and the extension that Telstra and Optus have made off their own back to extend it 2 months. I contacted the minister's office yesterday asking if this was a ministerial call, and the response that I got was that it's a commercial decision taken by the network providers. She says our focus is that the switchover takes place in a safe way. We also expect mobile coverage, especially for people in regional and rural areas, to be maintained. The government continues to receive updates from industry through the working group and will continue to monitor progress closely. Is that good enough?
No, that's just fluff and nonsense, Susan. What she has to realise is, yes, it is a commercial decision, but she has to have an oversight role and make sure that the services are secure and operating properly everywhere across Australia, at least as well as they are operating right now. She hasn't got the authority to intervene at the moment, but she has got the ability to make legislation very quickly and get that right to intervene. She can make this a legislative fix immediately because the telcos are not behaving responsibly. They're behaving dishonestly.
Why do you think that the minister doesn't seem to be getting on the front foot with this?
Two reasons. One is the telcos are a law unto themselves by the look of it. And secondly, the people haven't put enough pressure on her. She'll respond to people putting pressure on her. I would rather see that pressure before the shutdown rather than in the mess after the shutdown. We've got 1 million devices, as I said, life-saving devices, productivity devices that are going to be affected. That's going to be creating a havoc in the bush. It will gut the bush, and the telcos won't guarantee the same coverage. What we're seeing is a complete irresponsibility in terms of the minister's behaviour.
Being devil's advocate for a moment, the argument has been from a number of people that shutting down 3G will allow greater capabilities for 4G. What's your response to that?
My response is simply go and read James Parker's submission, because he pointed out that 3G coverage is one thing, but the reliance of 4G network on 3G is another. The basic issue is still more basic, and that's the incompatibility and standardization issues. And they can be fixed with a simple software fix largely. So we need to get the telcos being honest and putting profits aside, short-term profits aside. In the long term, they'll get better profits, but we have to have a stable network. And I don't agree with what was said.
So, Senator Malcolm Roberts, if people are listening now and they do have concerns about that 3G implication for them, for their community, what should they be doing?
Seeing what they can do to find out if their device will be compatible or not. But as I said, even 4G devices, some 4G devices and services will shut down. Some 4G services will shut down when 3G is removed. So they should also be pressuring the minister to extend the deadline and set a threshold for service guarantee. The minister must make a service guarantee. So call your local member of parliament, visit him or her in their offices, wherever you are, if that's possible. Write letters to them, and also do the same with the Minister for Communication, Minister Rowland.
That is Senator Malcolm Roberts there. I spoke with him a few moments before the